Hello and welcome to Nerd Subculture. I'm your host Jared.
And I'm Edwina.
And if you listen to this is our Once More with Feeling series on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Today, Eddie, double episode. We are doing Season 6, Episode 1 and 2, Bargaining. Both these episodes, Eddie, aired on the same day, I believe, October 2nd, 2001.
Yep.
The first one was written by Marty Noxon, I think, and the second one by David Fury.
That would be correct.
That would be correct. Oh, I'm on a roll here. And both were directed by David Grossman. Over to you, Eddie.
This is a full spoiler podcast. I'm a huge fan, but Jared has never watched the series all the way through, and I'm trying to convince him it's worth his time.
Yeah. And
are we getting there?
And we're getting there. Well, there's actually having a little break from Buffy, I think, was needed. Doing a couple of movies, and then coming back to it. No, I think it was well-deserved break, and I was eager to see the beginning of the season and how they have Buffy the Vampire Slayer without Buffy in it.
Yeah, how do you do that?
Yes.
So this definitely aired back-to-back in Australia. And this episode definitely has a different vibe, different tone. And that's partially due to the fact that, it changed networks.
Yes, it did. Yeah, it went to what network was it? Or
Went from WB to UPN.
Okay, yep.
Also, Joss Whedon pretty much stepped away to go write. There's a future musical episode that might be coming up. He pretty much
look forward to whoever that is.
He pretty much went and locked himself in a cabin for like months.
In the woods?
Yeah, something like that.
Right. I wonder if he came up with some other ideas while he's out there.
Yeah, so he pretty much locked himself away to write the musical episode or the music for it.
Oh, he wrote the music for it. Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
So by this stage, he's got Fireflies. They're trying to get Firefly up and running. He's also got Angel as well. But Marty Noxon takes the reins during this season. There's definitely a very different tone, and the themes become far more adult in nature.
Right, yeah. Well, they're definitely not college kids anymore, high school kids. They've definitely grown up with that. So now it's,
But it does feel like they did rush. The college years kind of rushed by a little bit quicker than...
They did. Well, it seems like they barely happened, to be honest. They're at college, but they weren't really there much. I don't know. It was, Like, is Willow still in college?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so there is this fair bit of discourse within the Buffy fandom about Season 6 because some people just hate Season 6 with a passion, and then there were others like me who love Season 6.
Okay. Polarizing, I guess.
Yeah, but then there are people that like, it's like it's each to their own. But I think the problem with this season is that the issues become far less metaphorical stories. They're much more based in reality, and they're the type of things that you face every day. So when your escapism isn't really your escapism anymore, it's more something that you can relate to. It can become a little bit polarizing. I think that's what happens with Season 6.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. All right. Well, look, before we get to it any further, let's do the summary, and I want to hear more, Eddie. Part 1. The Scoobies are patrolling with help of Willow and her growing magic powers. They're assisted by the Buffy Bot, who they've been using for the past 5 months to keep Buffy's death a secret from both the regular and supernatural world. The Buffy Bot, while effective, painfully reminds the gang of the loss of their friend. The next morning, Willow and Tara, now living in Buffy's house and secretly acting as Dawn's guardians, prepare the day and try to keep Buffy's death a secret from her father and Dawn's school. At the Magic Box, Giles and Anya argue over Giles' plans to return to England, leaving Anya in charge. That night, the Buffy Bot hunts a vampire who discovers it's a robot and escapes. At Xana's apartment, Willow announces their plan to resurrect Buffy the next night after Anya was able to buy the Urn of Osiris on eBay. Despite doubts, Willow insists, fearing Buffy's soul is trapped in a hell dimension. The others reluctantly agree to help. Willow returns home to find Spike tendering to the damaged Buffy Bot. The next day, Giles trains the Buffy Bot, realising he's treating her like a human. The Buffy Bot's incoherent questions about why he's still there leaves Giles without an answer. At a demon biker bar, a vampire brags about hitting the Buffy Bot, procuring the interests of the Hellions, a gang of biker demons. Their leader, Razor, decides to attack Sunnydale, killing the vampire who informed them. In a forest glade, Willow performs a summoning spell, killing a baby deer for the ritual.
Not Bambi. Poor Bambi.
She returns to the magic box, claiming she obtained the Vino de Marder from the black market. The gang finds a note from Giles, who is left without goodbyes. They catch him at the airport for a proper farewell. Afterward, they head to the cemetery to perform the resurrection ritual. As Willow casts the spell, she suffers through painful manifestations but preserves despite Tara's concern. Meanwhile, Spike and Dawn see the demon bikers arrive in Sunnydale. The Buffy bot confronts them but is wounded and flees to find Willow. The bikers interrupt the spell, breaking the Urn of Osiris. Tanya rescues Anya from a demon, but Willow collapses, and Xander believes the spell has failed. However, mystical energy surrounds Buffy's decaying body, restoring her to life in her coffin, confused and terrified.
Uh-oh.
End of part 1. Part 2. With Willow unconscious, the Scoobies decide to split up to avoid the Hellions and get back to the magic box. The Buffy bot is in possession of the demons and gets beaten badly. Meanwhile, beneath the ground, the real Buffy claws her way out of her coffin. Willow regains consciousness and grieves the reality of the spell's failure. With the demons trashing the other houses on the street, Spike and Dawn realise that the Buffy bot ruse has failed and prepare to leave for a safer location. Buffy finally breaks out of her coffin and reaches the surface. Tara and Anya arrive at the magic box and Tara casts a guiding spell to locate Willow and Xander. Out in the streets, Spike steals a bike for him and Dawn to ride off on. The Scoobies finally meet up at the shop and discuss their plans. The real Buffy stumbles upon 4 of the demons on their bikes, which are chained to the limbs of the Buffy bot. The Buffy bot notices Buffy and then is ripped apart while the bikers drive off in 4 different directions. Buffy screams, drawing attention to herself, and runs off. The Scooby Gang is armed and ready for battle when Buffy drops down from a fence in front of them. While the others believe her to be the Buffy bot, Willow recognises her as the real Buffy but scares her off. The gang follows and Xander realises that the spell brought Buffy back to life inside her coffin. Buffy is frightened and confused but is motivated to beat the demons when Razor and his crew try to hurt her and her friends. Dawn and Spike find the Buffy bot's head and torso. While Spike looks for the rest of her, the robot hints that the real Buffy is back before it shuts down for the last time. Buffy finishes off most of the demons before she runs off. Dawn tracks down Buffy to the tower and follows the Slayer as she heads up to the top. Buffy remembers what occurred the last time she was up there until Dawn interrupts. Buffy questions if she's in hell and contemplates another jump. The tower starts to collapse as Dawn begs Buffy to come with her. When she sees Dawn in danger, Buffy quickly uses a rope and pulley to partially get them to the ground. Buffy cushions the fall and rolls them out of the way before the tower completely collapses. Dawn hugs Buffy while telling her sister she's home. The end.
Yes.
That was a long one.
A lot happens.
A lot did happen, yeah. I'm going to throw it to you, Eddie. I'm run out of words already.
All right, you've had enough of talking, which is not good because we only just started the podcast.
I know, yep.
Yeah. So, yes, this episode does really set up the themes for season 6. So, and the themes are depression, grief, self-destruction, addiction, and responsibility.
Giles, make us stop.
And this episode gives you just a little taste of what is to come. And really, really sets up season 6.
Is this the last we see the Buffy bot?
Yes, she is. She dies a pretty gruesome.
What do you call that? Like the disemboweling?
Is that being drawn and quartered?
Yeah, drawn and quartered.
Or is
it?
I tried to look it up because I'm pretty sure this has a name. And then I saw it's called getting stretched. Drawn and quartered, I think, was something a bit. I thought it was drawn and quartered.
Oh.
But that seemed to be something different when I looked it
Okay.
up. So they called it like being stretched.
Right. I thought that's a stretching machine, isn't it? The one with the rolly ones, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or is that drawn and quartered?
No, drawn and quartered's where they cut you into.
Oh, okay.
Maybe there's different versions of drawn and quartered.
Okay. If there's any torturers out there listening to this podcast, just, give us a few tips and what's what.
Yeah, but she does die a pretty horrific death. And it's very sad to see the Buffy bot. She's kind of, you know what it is also? She is like joyful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's sort of this happy, joyful, what did Spike call her? Automaton. Like she's like the agreeable, robot.
Yeah.
Like
The automatons are names of the robots in Helldivers too, by the way.
Say hello to democracy.
just means you do what you're told. You're never going to cause a ruckus. Like she's just,
Definitely not the automatons and Helldivers too.
Yeah, she's just kind of a fun breath of fresh air. And
She is, yeah.
And of course, because she is fun and joyful, they have to completely destroy her in the most horrific way possible. And like I was saying before, the misogyny and the male violence in this episode isn't like it has been tackled before in Buffy. But it's normally done in a metaphorical way. Yeah, they're just going straight to the point there.
I think the Buffy bot says something like, "Oh, I need a service," and you hear one of the Hell Demons said, "I'll service you."
Yeah, they're pretty, and they're pretty much like, "Oh yeah, we're just going to pin you down and have some fun with you for a couple of hours," but our parts tend to rip little girls up.
Oh God.
Yeah, it was. As I said, it's very graphic.
Well, it's called Razor, so.
Yeah. So these road pirate Hellion demons come into town. And it does seem like I'll talk about Buffy waking up in the coffin, like everyone's worst fucking nightmare, like being buried alive.
Mm-hmm.
And she, manages to punch herself out. I have heard it been saying, it's sort of this metaphorical, rebirth of this new Buffy that, she comes out very changed and different.
Horrible week.
She's leaving her, girlhood behind. She's now becoming woman, blah, blah, blah. But
you don't buy that?
I think sometimes people can read whatever they want into this.
Yes, that is true. That is why we exist.
That's why we exist. But she wakes up and you don't know where she's been or where she's come from. And do remember when Angel came back from hell, he was like a rabid beast as well. And so she's sort of disorientated and she just comes out and she is just attacked. Like it would be bad enough coming out of that and just walking around, being buried alive and then coming out of that. It would have been like it's bad enough that happening. But then what's happened is she'd probably think the apocalypse has happened and this is just what life is like now. Like there's just these demons riding around on motorcycles tearing the world apart.
Was that a flaw in their plan? Did they just think that Buffy would just appear? Like they didn't think she would be resurrected in her body?
I think it is a definite... I think it's Willow... We'll talk about Willow's recklessness with magic because this is... really shines through in this episode because she hasn't thought this through. I think they were expecting her
just to materialize in front of them.
Of them, and instead she ends up in the coffin. But they're like, why? Like, when doing the research into this spell, like, wouldn't it have details of where her soul would end up? Like, would she go back into her body? Does the body, at least dig the grave up?
Probably asked the question, if they did this in like 20 years' time or something when the body was completely decomposed and rotted to dust, does that mean this wouldn't work anymore?
I don't know. Probably not.
Probably not. Well, yeah, maybe not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which seems something you probably would need to know.
And apparently 5 months has passed since her death. I always thought it was like only 3 months.
A couple of months ain't much of a stretch, I guess. Yeah.
Well, 5 months feels like a long time. Like that does seem.
What, you think 3 months isn't long enough?
Yeah, I think 3 months probably would have worked better.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so 3 months probably would have been a good amount of time instead of 5. I don't know. 5 just seems a weird number.
Okay. I'm not sure how it even matters. Okay.
Well, it's more the fact that Willow hadn't really done it looked like she'd done her research, but then she was also being a little sketchy and omitting a lot of information.
Oh, the things about her being cut open and stuff probably would have been helpful to know, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
to prepare everyone.
And especially when she's like doesn't want to say how she got what the wine of the mother is. It's how she got it. Like she's sort of.
Well, that I can understand. Not telling everyone.
I don't think she was leaving vital information out.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, maybe killing Bambi is something you don't want to brag about.
yeah. But it was sort of her, kind of like they might have been rethinking maybe this spell isn't great to do if that's there's sort of that cost.
Hmm.
And then I think even you can tell that Tara's not 100% on board with this spell.
No, she's not. No.
Because she is someone who always thinks about the consequences, and magic always has an offset. And she understands that more than what Willow does. Where Willow's like, I can control that.
I got this. Well, it's interesting because she didn't tell Giles.
Yeah.
Who's someone who's very experienced in the magic.
Yeah.
So it's not that she didn't want his help. If
she didn't
she
want
told
him to stop her.
He would have stopped her. Yeah.
Yeah. That was why Giles wasn't involved, because he just jumped on a plane and left.
Yeah.
And we can talk about Giles leaving.
Okay, you want to talk about Giles leaving?
Yeah, we can talk. Well, we can continue to talk about Willow. Or
Yeah. Oh, no, go on. Continue with Willow. Yeah.
Well, she also doesn't tell Spike, because I reckon Spike would have stopped her as well.
Yeah.
I think Dawn would.
Well, he did help Dawn with the mother resurrection, didn't he? So I'm not sure what he would have done, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't reckon he would have.
Yeah, I'm a bit on the fence. I'm not sure how he would have reacted. I think she just figured she doesn't need him to be there, so she's not going to tell him.
Yeah. But I do feel like she is kind of starting to sacrifice her own ethics.
Hmm.
Kind of that lying, being a little bit sketchy about things, like leaving information out. And Xander does call her on it.
Yeah, well, at first he's like, I know we're talking about this, but this is more like, just theorizing. Are we actually really going to do this? This seems like this doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
And then she counteracts, well, she didn't die naturally. She's probably in a hell dimension. It'd be wrong for us not to do it.
Well, that's the other thing. She didn't do her research.
Yeah.
Back
to the research, yeah.
Yeah, so she didn't do her research. She didn't actually bother to look into, say, how to work out if Buffy was trapped in a hell dimension or... it probably would have made more sense to be like, to locate where her spell was might have been another option. And before you say anything, Angel does this in Angel.
Okay.
To locate what happened to Cordelia.
Right, yeah.
So,
but I think even Xander says, is she going to be a zombie? Now, it seemed like a bit of a posturous question
no,
I asked, but then...
But he's dealt with zombies. No, you have to remember, he's dealt with zombies.
Yeah, but
they've dealt with zombies multiple times.
But she didn't answer that question.
Yeah.
Like, I think Anya just said, zombies are actually this or that, but she didn't really give him an answer for that because I don't think she really knew what that would bring back.
Yeah, they weren't 100%. She wasn't... She was sure that this was the spell.
Yeah, this one's going to work.
This one's going to work. And it's like a one-shot deal.
Was the breaking of the urn what helped in the spell, maybe?
I don't know, because I don't know, maybe.
Because that's when it broke and she did come back to life after that, so maybe that was...
I think the spell had already been cast, it was just... Maybe it was just on that point of ending, like maybe enough of it had
been done.
Had been done.
Right.
Osiris, keeper of the gate, master of all fate, hear us.
All right, I'll talk about Giles leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're going to be talking a lot about Willow and her use of magic, because it just gets worse and worse. And you kind of see both Tara and I think it's the response. So it's Tara who actually points out to her that, maybe the demons, that it was what was meant to happen, because it was sort of sort of Mother Nature or some sort of essence stopping them from doing that spell. Because how on earth did they manage, the fact that getting those demons attack at that exact time, that exact moment, and maybe it was the world saying you shouldn't be doing this. Like it was sort of
an omen, sort of a...
Not an omen, what do you call it? Like when a virus, an antibody, like producing an antibody almost.
Okay, a counter...
Like counter...
A counter
move, yeah.
Yeah.
And Willow's response to that was she kind of mistook it and went, oh, great, so it's all my fault. It was kind of it was kind of her reaction.
Interesting, yeah.
You found the last known Urn of Osiris on eBay?
All right. Now I'll talk about Giles leaving. And
So pretty sudden, wasn't it? and not at the
was
same
it?
time.
Was it? Because
Well,
he was talking about leaving back at the start of season 5. He had talked about leaving because he's like, Buffy doesn't need a watcher anymore. And then she comes to him and says, I want you to be my watcher again.
I love you.
Yes.
I love you. Ugh.
So, and at the start of the episode, he says that he's going to leave, and him and Anya are fighting over
Money?
not money. She was just like going, oh, what was it? Making you check spreadsheets over and over again for eternity. Was a way that she used to punish people. Yes. So.
Oh, but she was hiding something though. That's why she didn't want him looking, because she was taking stuff from the magic shop.
He was.
She was.
No, she wasn't.
For the ritual.
No,
Wasn't that what she was worried about? No.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, not at all.
No. All right.
Yes, and you had like Giles looking after the Buffy bot, trying to get it, teaching her how to, teaching her chi.
Yeah. It's kind of weird that.
Yeah.
Telling her to breathe and
Yeah.
breathing
she
like
just
an
goes,
ape.
Yeah. All he was like, remember to breathe. And I was like, oh, that might have been, that might give away that she's a robot, that she's not actually breathing. So, yes, but he sort of had this survivor guilt, I think. That is the relationship between a watcher and a slayer. And that's how it always ends, with death.
Do they have the same watcher do several slayers, or do they always have a new watcher? Is that a thing?
No, I'm pretty sure they always have a new watcher.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Giles leaving. And then we get the little girl. But the fact that he tried to leave without saying goodbye.
Well, it's too hard for him, he said.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a cop-out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cop-out.
But the girl Arg. So I was curious about that because I thought Tara did a pretty good impersonation of the girl Arg. I'm like, did she do it from the start? I know that she wasn't in the show. No, she did not do it throughout the show. Apparently, it was Joss who did the girl Arg.
Yeah, I'd believe that.
And if you listen to it, it's not. It's a deeper girl Arg.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes it says, "I need a hug."
Oh, I need a hug.
Can we talk about the Hellmounds? What are they called?
Hellions.
The Hellions.
The road pirates.
So are they not meant to be secret anymore? Is that sort of something that's changed in the show a little bit maybe? Like everything seemed a little more secretive about what their societies and what they were.
They still managed to look just human enough. And remember, like this is like they're doing this attack like
Broad daylight.
no, it's not broad daylight.
Sorry, it
you
was
have
night.
to remember it's in the middle of the night that they're doing these attacks. So I think they're just counting on people seeing it from a distance.
And a place that doesn't have police.
Yeah, all of a sudden there's no police in
No
Sunnydale.
No ambulances, nothing.
Nothing.
I think they're smarter to stay home and stay the fuck out of the way when some demons are tearing up your town.
Yeah.
So is that like a new thing now? Like it's a bit more open, less secretive? Or is that just that one-off thing?
Oh, I think it's just a one-off thing. And as I said, like I think it's sort of that collective. They sort of explain this at the start of the series, like the collective. People don't want to believe that the supernatural is real.
Yeah.
So they kind of write it off as, oh my god, it was just a biker gang attacked the town.
It was a biker gang who like Static X.
They do like Static X.
I called that straight away. I heard it when we were in the pub, the biker bar.
Yeah.
And Static X is blaring the song.
Was it
Permanence?
Yeah.
Permanence? Yeah. By Static X, who I saw recently.
Yeah, we actually saw them not that long ago.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Wayne Static.
Okay, we saw the zombie guy.
Yeah, we saw the zombie guy. He was good, though.
He was good.
Creepy mask. Did you see any parallels between Kill Bill? She had to dig herself out of her coffin as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
She did the 1-inch punch to burst through. Very well lit coffin too.
Yeah,
as you mentioned.
It was definitely a very well lit coffin.
Yeah.
And look, the Hellions kind of represent that chaotic world without Buffy, and emphasizing her role as the stabilizing force of Sunnydale.
Why would the demons care that a Slayer's not around? It seems she's very specific to just vampires, not demons.
Well, I suppose they didn't really explain that.
Yeah, okay. I was hoping you would.
No, well, it does seem like the demons, well, the smart demons kind of know that the Slayer is in Sunnydale, where the Hellmouth is. Like, if you know, if you're going to go and track her down,
You're looking for trouble.
Yeah,
Or,
it's, you know, maybe stay away from Sunnydale if you're.
It's a whole other world you can rip apart.
Yeah.
Just don't go to that one.
But they are attract. It was more that the Hellmouth is meant to attract demons.
Okay. Did you happen to catch what was playing on the cinema there, Eddie?
Dude, where's my car? Yep.
Great film.
And that vampire that that damages the Buffy bot. He's meant to be he's meant to be like a bit of a dorky loser vampire.
What indication did they give to the audience that he was a dorky loser?
Because he was a grown ass man wearing a Hanson t-shirt.
Demon Hellspawn, I knew it. Wearing a fucking Hanson t-shirt. Well. That explains everything.
Nothing against Hanson. It's the fact that he's a grown man wearing a Hanson t-shirt.
I liked Hanson. I liked the Umbops. I didn't buy the albums, but I liked that song.
Yeah, I didn't say I had anything against Hanson. It's the fact that he's a grown man with little boys on his t-shirt.
Yes, he was. I'll just let that one go to the keeper. Right.
All right. I will talk about Xander and Anya.
So they hadn't told anyone they got married. It's been 5 months.
No, they've gotten engaged.
Oh, engaged. Well, they've gotten engaged, but it's been 5 months.
Yeah, Xander won't. Yeah, so this is going to be a running theme, and it's pretty much that Xander probably
didn't really want to marry her.
Didn't really want to. Like,
Okay.
I think he's kind of rethought the whole situation after Buffy's death, and yeah, he.
Bit more clarity after the world didn't end.
Yeah, I think he's just a bit conflicted, but and you have to remember, he's the one that asked her, and now she's like,
and she was the one that said, you know, are you doing this for real, or is this just the end of the world thing? You know, she actually called him out on that originally and said, you know, do you actually really want to do this? Or he's like, yeah, sure, yeah. Yeah, I'm all over it.
Yeah. But yes, he's obviously not wanting to tell anyone. So again, maybe Giles might have stayed if they had said, you know, you have this to look forward to.
Oh, yeah, that might have worked.
Or you have to help.
You have to pick the flowers.
Yes. Yeah. So as I said, that'll be a bit of a theme throughout this season, because they will be perhaps having a wedding this season. Maybe. Mm-hmm. Maybe there might be a wedding.
Oh, the wedding episode.
Yeah, there's a wedding
episode. Look forward
episode.
to that.
You're listening to
Subculture.
I'll talk about Dawn
in
this episode, because we haven't really talked about Dawn. Okay, you kind of see her trying to deal with the grief of losing Buffy, and having the Buffy bot around really did feel like they couldn't quite move on, because she really was this fake. Well, it's almost a copy of a copy of a copy. Like, it's kind of like she's half there but not there.
It seemed counterintuitive to sort of have her still around when you're trying to grieve. So
Yeah.
kind of remind me of the Black Mirror episode.
Yeah.
Remember that one with
the husband.
Hux in it?
Where they took all of his social media posts or something.
Yeah, and then created like a chat bot, and
yeah.
then they created an actual bot of him.
Yeah.
And in the end, she just stuck him in the attic.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad.
Because it's sort of that very what is it? Not the real Buffy. She'll never really, really be Buffy. The only Buffy was ever really real. Like, there's sort of this tongue twister that the Buffy bot says as they're saying it in front of her. The only real Buffy is the really real Buffy, and she's really, really gone, or something like that.
I do like the scene where she started, like the parents going off at the faculty for not supplying sandwiches, where she started a little mini revolt.
The quality. I had to make lunches. It's the quality of the food.
And everyone like, she's right. I had to make my lunches too. And everyone sort of, this mini revolt was going on, and the teacher's like, oh shit.
Yeah. And Well, I think it's sort of the fact that they don't really know what to do with Dawn after this point. And you do see her with Spike, talking to Spike. And she's like, oh, you can just leave me. And he's like, and why is Spike still there as well? Like, that's the other thing. He's
got his mission, I guess, is to look after the little bit.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the other thing. Like, Spike's still around. So he's there to look after Dawn. And there she is saying, oh, you can just leave me, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, I'm not doing that again. So you can kind of see he has this real guilt as well about what's happened to Buffy.
Yeah.
That he couldn't stop Doc. And yeah, so...
Well, he did have a good moment when they're trying to escape the house and he's watching all the demons just completely trashing the place and you just see this big smirk come on his face. I knew exactly what he was thinking. And
Like,
she's
looks like fun.
This looks like fun.
Well, I think it's that
I
thing...
want to go destroy some shit too.
I think it's that thing where he's just... You have to remember, he doesn't have a soul.
Yeah.
He probably would be friends with those guys.
Probably knows some of them, yeah.
Probably knows them.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that he knew what they were.
You always got to remember during a riot, it's not stealing, it's just looting.
Yes. Not stealing, it's just looting. Now, there was something in this episode that I did notice.
Oh. All these years later.
All these years later. But Willow's wearing a top with, like, she has an 11 on her top. Xander has a 13 on his T-shirt. And then I think Dawn has a 7.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm probably a bit too deep into the Taylor Swift lore at the moment and all of her fucking Easter eggs. But Buffy used to do Easter eggs too. And so I actually looked into it and I'm like, oh, was that an Easter egg? Like those dreams and stuff from earlier seasons? No, it was just the wardrobe. It was nothing. It was just
Nothing.
the wardrobe.
Yeah, I read that too. I didn't notice it during the episode, but yeah, I noticed people had noticed the numbers and trying to put them together. So was it 9, 11? Oh my God.
All right. So I'll talk about sort of the philosophy in this episode.
Okay, yeah.
So, and probably the ethics of bringing someone back from the dead.
Okay, back to that. Well,
yeah. All right.
See, now, because it's something that you really can't, you can only theoretically discuss this because it can't really be done in real life. So we don't really know what the ethics are, per se.
Yeah.
So, but we can discuss it. So,
well, it's just the moral dilemma in bringing Buffy back and the ethical implications of bringing someone back to life when you don't know what's happened to them.
Well, it reminds me a little bit of Source Code, the film Source Code. Have you ever seen that? Spoilers for that. So in that movie, you had the soldier who died, but they were able to sort of bring him back to life in like a coma state where he could travel in, relive a situation or something like that. And there was a line in there when he said, I've died once, haven't I done enough for my country?
Yeah.
Where he says something like that, I've done enough. And maybe, that could be an argument Buffy could say, haven't I done enough? I died.
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing. Like she's already sacrificed herself for the world.
Yeah.
And she had a noble death, so to speak. She died to save the world. They don't have her peace.
She's earned it.
Yeah, she's had the weight of the world on her shoulders.
Literally, yes.
Multiple times. Someone will replace her. Like there'll be another Slayer. But again, Willow justifies her actions with very selfish reasons. So I think Willow
It's her audaciousness maybe to not to do it because it's noble, not to do it because it's right, but to do it to prove that she could do it in some way.
Yeah.
Maybe even hubris.
Maybe that need for,
in some way.
she has a need for control, I think. And it does have, and there are themes, themes of potential power. Like with power, it's very easy, power and corruption. Sort of, what do you call it?
They sort of bleed into each other, don't they? So the more power you get.
The more power you have, the more potential for corruption that you have.
Yeah.
And we have sort of dealt with that with Faith. With great power comes great responsibility.
No, don't say it.
Yeah. but the ethical implications of bringing someone back to life. And perhaps she's not going to deal with that very well.
Yeah.
And you have her pretty much reenacting her own death.
And it seemed like she was just going to jump straight back off again.
Yeah, she was like, why? You know, she's just like, is this hell? That's the first words that she says is this hell?
Well, actually, something I was surprised how quickly they brought her back. I knew she came back, but I wasn't sure how long of an arc this would go for. Like, I thought it'd be like episode 5 or 6, like they would spend that amount of time without her before they get her back.
Yeah.
So I was surprised, like the first episode, she's alive. I mean, I guess why drag it out if you're going to do it? But I thought that was going to be like a little overarching story for the next few episodes at least or something.
Yeah, you pretty much, the next few episodes are her getting her life back on track and dealing with the mess that is left of her life. All the new responsibilities she has.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
First up, had you seen this episode before?
Yeah, I think I have. I do remember the Buffy bot, this version of the Buffy bot, which I thought she'd lasted a bit longer.
Yeah.
I thought she would be in the series, way longer. Hence why I thought maybe the Buffy resurrection would come a little later.
Yeah.
Well,
that was the whole thing. As you said, they very easily could have stretched this out a little bit longer. Like,
not that they needed to. I just thought that's what they were going to do. So,
because as you said, they do have the Buffy bot.
So SMG still in it.
Yeah.
She's still in the show.
Buffy's technically still there.
in the show. Yeah.
Well, it would have been funny to make fans think that, make them think that it was going to be Buffy the Slayer, but it's just really just the Buffy bot.
Mm.
And the funny goings on of like that could have been an interesting season 6.
Yeah. Maybe would have made it a bit more climactic of them resurrecting her. Like it seemed like they did it pretty easy.
Yeah.
So maybe a few failed attempts or something.
Yeah.
So throw that in there, drag it out.
Yeah. And did you go down any rabbit holes?
No, not really. Just the Gru thing. I was sort of watching a bit of that, reading up about that, and the different versions that they've been. Yeah, that's about it. All right, into question time.
Excuse me. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
All right, Jared. Which character was your favourite?
I liked Razor.
Razor,
yeah.
Razor. I'll go with Buffy Bot.
Buffy Bot. Oh, yeah,
that
maybe.
Poor Buffy Bot. Well,
Yeah.
But talking of the Buffy Bot, I forgot to mention something. And it's the fact that, there's that scene after she's been drawn and quartered, her torso is left in the middle of the road and Spike and Dawn find her.
Mm-hmm.
And they pick her up and she's sort of doing that broken, I saw me.
Yeah, that's right. She saw Buffy, yeah.
Yeah, and she's sort of doing this weird, what do they sort of do that weird robot voicey thing. And it's very reminiscent of a couple of other scenes that I can think of.
Yeah.
So it's Aliens 3 when they resurrect
Oh, Bishop, yeah.
Bishop?
Yeah, she plugs him back in, yeah.
Yeah. But also in Serenity, the movie.
Yeah, what scene was that?
So it's he killed me, Mal. So there's a scene when
I don't remember that. What was that part?
it's his robot wife. There's the robot wife scene.
The robot wife? I don't remember that.
What's that place called?
Is this in the movie, was it?
Yeah, in the end scene. In the end scene, and they're on the cloud. I can't remember what they call that cloud thing. The cloud planet.
No.
With that guy, like it's a friend of theirs who married like a robot.
Oh, okay, right.
And I think the last thing he did was like he left a message or something in his robot wife.
Yeah.
And she's like, she does it. They killed me, Mal. I know, it kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
Maybe it's been a while since you've watched that movie. Maybe we should watch that movie.
Yeah. Again?
Don't we have a podcast for that?
Oh, I think we do. I'm sure it's in there, maybe.
All right. Which character do you love to hate?
I was kind of hating Willow in this episode.
Oh, you don't like bossy bitch Willow?
It wasn't really the bossy bitch part. It was more the ethics of resurrecting someone back from the dead. And
Yes.
it seemed like she hadn't really thought it through at all.
And killing Bambies.
And killing Bambies, which apparently she did not like that scene at all.
Apparently it got cut in. There was quite a few scenes in this episode that were cut for certain places around the world. One of them being the Buffy bot being drawn and quartered, and the other being the Bambi getting murdered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to go with the Hanson
Go.
Hanson t-shirt vamp.
And how's that? Like he just gets away from Buffy bot, then he's like, oh man, I fucking beat the shit out of her. I was like there, and they're all looking at him rolling their eyes, going, oh, you're so full of shit.
Yeah. LOL moment.
Back to the Hanson t-shirt, I guess. It was so prominent as well. It was like you could see it clearly. Brand new Hanson t-shirt. Oh, and honorable mention to Spike.
Cup of
Watching
tea.
that. No, the watching the.
Going. That looks like fun.
That looks like fun. Oh,
Yeah, I had the
responsibilities get in the way. You're grown up.
Yeah. I had Tara doing the grr-arg and with the little toy monster.
Yep.
Bit of a meta joke.
It's very meta.
I'm always a fan of a little meta joke.
It's just a little one too. It doesn't like completely wink at the camera.
Yeah. But I've also got to give it to Giles getting upset with Spike, and Spike because I think he kills the vampire by setting the vampire alight. And he's like, why aren't you helping me? And he's like, I did. And then Giles was like, you might have let me in on your plan while you throttled me. And Spike's answer is, oh, poor Watcher, did your life pass before your eyes? Cup of tea, almost got shagged, cup of tea. And for some reason you're like, oh, that's why you always say cup of tea that way. Because I always go, cup of tea, cup of tea.
Yeah, I know. You say it to me all the time. That's where it's from. God. But on that, setting vampires on fire, is that a new thing?
No, that's always been a thing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They just go up like as soon as you light them up? Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like they're real flammable.
Yeah. And he lights a cigarette. Shouldn't he be careful with that?
Maybe he should be a bit more careful.
All right, I'm just saying, they're that flammable, maybe.
Maybe don't smoke.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Good
Well,
excuse
he's a
to
bad
quit.
boy.
Oh, I know, living life on the edge, isn't
Living
he?
life on the edge.
Yeah, that's Spike.
All right. Favorite fight scene?
You ever fought someone in high heels before?
No.
No. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Buffy fighting in high heels and running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she's often in boots. She's often fighting in.
But they were like prissy high heels, like they're like.
Yeah, they did they were stiletto-y.
Okay, yeah.
Stiletto heels. I'll give you that.
Right.
Normally she's more in a blocky boot.
Yeah, exactly.
What was my favourite scene? Probably when she takes out like the bulk of the gang, like all of it, because you don't know whether she's going to even come back with her powers because of how little bloody research Willow has done.
Mm-hmm.
You don't actually know when she came back if she actually even has her Slayer powers. She could have come back as purely human, like you didn't know that magic was going to.
And actually kind of reminiscent of when Superman came back, which is also directed by Joss Whedon. So he sort of came back in that very stoic way that everyone wasn't really quite sure what or who he really was.
Yeah.
There's kind of a bit of a standoff there.
Yeah.
Tell me. Do you bleed?
Favorite scene?
I kind of like the Demons pub.
Just because you got your Static
I heard
X.
some Static X, yes.
There's a few
Piqued my
funny-
attention.
A few funny lines in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. I know it's kind of a gory scene. The spell at the grave.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And all the weird bubbly things coming up
Yeah.
with the skin.
Yes.
Ugh, there's always going to be the bubbly skin things. Ugh.
Yeah.
Not a fan of that.
What is your least favourite scene?
I know they're called the Scoobies, but they don't always have to split up. Like when you're running away from someone, you increase your chances by 50% by splitting up rather than staying together. So I never understood that. Dumb Scooby move.
Yeah, because then they had to find each other again.
Yeah, so that seemed kind of pointless.
Yeah.
I think we should split up. No. I don't think we should.
They did this in Cabin in the Woods. Like it was actually like a
Yeah, there was a line he said, "Why will we split up for?"
No. I think they're like, let's all stick together, stay in one room, go back to back, and then they pump some stuff into the room to make them say the opposite.
Yeah.
Like this. No, let's split up.
Yeah, maybe there was a bit of puff of that somewhere in the bushes.
I think that's what happened. Probably my least favourite scene. I actually don't like the scene on top of the tower.
Okay.
It goes on for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like a really long time. And the way that they get down off the tower is also
They probably should have died.
Yeah, it's also a bit
A
sketchy.
few broken ankles there at least, minimum. Legs, wrists.
Yeah, it was a bit sketchy. I don't think they would have even been able to get up to the top.
How the footy player the other day cracked 3 ribs, he ruptured his spleen and punctured his lung for getting a knee in the chest.
Yeah. But also I'll say the poor Buffy bot being drawn and quartered also isn't a particularly nice scene either. Actually, there's a lot of not very nice scenes in this.
No, it's not. As you said, it seems to have raised the level of the maturity of the content.
Yeah, and it only gets more mature.
Wow.
As we go on. All right. Favorite quote?
Mine was from Xander, and it's when Anya and Charles are having that little tiff between each other.
Yeah.
And Xander's response is, "Okay, when I'm marveling at the immaturity, be scared."
I will go with, that'll put marzipan on your pie plate, bingo. And you got very upset when I was doing that. I did that when we were watching it.
Oh, because I couldn't hear what they were saying. It's all good to quote the lines of the show, but I never seen it before, or most of it. So I didn't hear a word she said then.
Well, but I was saying it, so you could hear what I was saying.
No, I wasn't listening to you, though.
But that was my word. But it's word salad.
Okay. It's great.
As Willow puts it, word salad. But that's one that I use quite a lot in everyday life.
I still don't understand what the fuck it means.
It doesn't mean anything. That's the point.
All right. I thought it was me. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's something, all right.
Well, I did it to Parker before. I gave him something, said, that'll put marzipan on your pie plate. Bingo.
Moving on.
All right. Who gets the wooden spoon?
I think the Hellions get the wooden spoon. They trash the town, but then they got their ass handed by a half-dead Buffy Vampire Slayer.
They probably shouldn't have taken. They probably shouldn't have taken the word of a grown-ass man wearing a Hanson t-shirt. No, I think Giles.
I was actually thinking Giles too. Yeah, he didn't really do it much in this.
Yeah, because now he's going to have to come back, isn't he? So he's literally going to fly there, land, and, well, okay, it's not like flying from Australia where it's like a 24-hour flight, but it's still, 18-hour flight?
Oh, no, they're on the West Coast, so it's, hang on, no, they're on the other side, yeah, sorry. Oh, I don't know, maybe 13 hours, maybe?
13 hours?
They've got to fly across the other side of the state. So I think it's like 6 hours from London to New York. There'll be another 6 from New York to Los Angeles? I don't know.
Okay.
I know. I'm talking out of my ass. I have no idea.
Oh,
10 hours.
It's still, it's a bit of a long flight. 13 hours isn't fun.
No, it's not. No.
And then he's just going to have to get on, he's going to land and then have to get on a plane and go back. He's going to be pissed.
Oh, that reminds me. They mentioned Buffy's father to not tell him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Does he know that his ex-wife died?
Well, I'm guessing he does now. So it seems like they've managed to get in contact with him.
Yeah.
Perhaps Willow used some magic to find him.
That's probably the only thing you could use other than like a private investigator or something to find him.
Yeah. All right. Who's the MVP of the episode?
Well, I think Willow, I mean, she did fuck up, but she did kind of succeed, I guess.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah,
I think I'll have to give it to that.
Yeah, I've given it to Willow. And the truth is, in this episode, she is kind of the protagonist.
Yeah.
You're kind of following her.
Yeah, she's
kind of the main character in this episode.
Yeah. It's very Willow-centric, as you
Willow-centric.
eloquently put it a lot. Yeah.
Yes. What do you rate the episode out of 10?
I gave it 8 Hanson shirts.
Oh, damn it. That's what I used.
Yeah, it's too good to pass up.
I know.
How many times we're going to give Hanson shirts as a rating in this series?
I know.
You take it when it's there. Definitely. Yeah.
All right. Okie dokie then.
Okay, I think we've reached the end, Eddie, have we?
I think we have.
Yeah, all right, so let's wrap it up. Well, I hope you've enjoyed listening to us again into Season 6. Oh my God, Eddie, it's gone so quickly, hasn't it? Oh my God. Thanks for listening to us. My name is Jared.
I'm Edwina.
And if you like what you hear, you can...
Well, you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, X, and there is a Facebook page. And if you want to help out the podcast, please follow the link tree in the socials for our merch store.
Yeah, go check it out. Good shit there.
Good shit.
All right, till next time. Take care. Bye.
Grr.
I need a hug.
Oh, I need a hug.